We could have homes on separate coasts, go dive in Greece with squids. Could have been so bleeping rich, but instead we had kids. They won't smile for a photo, they won't eat the food we choose. That's why we're heading to Parents' Lounge to drown ourselves in booze. Every day we're more exhausted, we haven't slept in years. They hit me in the nuts so bad, my eyes filled up with tears. And yes, we'd like to fake our death, go off of a bridge. But the truth is we are softies and we truly love our kids. So join us every Tuesday night to laugh at all our pain. Evening in the Parents' Lounge is the cure to staying sane.
Hello, everybody.
Who's
Welcome
got
to the
muted
Parents.
when that's playing. That there's
What?
that.
Oh, Mulligan, you froze on me. Well, Mulligan has frozen. Anyway, welcome to the Parents' Lounge. I'm Jason Gowan. With me is the frozen remains of my former co-host, Kate Mulligan. Jamie Kaler is off tonight. He is unfortunately busy. Well, not it's fortunate for him, but unfortunate for fans of this show that he is currently shooting episodes of America's Funniest Home Videos, and he will be back tentatively next week, give or take some. We have an amazing show tonight. One of the first guests we ever had on the Parents' Lounge. He's been back a couple of times. He did our fantastic Gettysburg special back a couple of summers ago. He is a pillar in the paranormal community. You have seen him on pretty much everything, and he once climbed a really tall mountain. Ladies and gentlemen, author and legend, Mr. Jeff Belanger. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Jason. Good to be back. Thanks for having me. And Kate, so great to see you. How have you been, Kate? Go on. Nothing? Wow. It's like she's not even here.
I know. This is her Invisible Man impression. She's really good at it.
She's rocking it. Oh my God. I love it.
It's funny because you actually came, the first time you came here was when it was still Dadpocalypse. And
that's right.
You were one of the ones that were a proponent for never changing the name.
No, I would go back still. But now you've got a mom apocalypse too. So I guess you can.
She gives off big dick energy quite often.
Fair. Okay.
How have you been, man? How's things?
Good, man. Busy. I'm working on still working on Ghost Adventures. Writing 15 years that I've been working.
Really?
Is that crazy? So since episode 1 of Ghost Adventures, it's been 15 years on the air. Through COVID, through storms and sickness and health and everything else. And yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn. Don't go looking for me. I mean, you can if you want. I'm a LinkedIn whore. I really don't care, but there's nothing special there. However, it says like your work anniversary. And that's the only reason I know. I was like, whoa.
Oh, because it tells you.
Because LinkedIn says you're 15 and people start sending you messages. Congrats on your work anniversary.
I mean, if anybody you can rely on for that information, I feel like LinkedIn has got it going on.
Like they remember, I do not. So it's been 15 years. I'm working on a new show. It's an international show that'll air this fall. It is I'm not allowed to say it. It's a Zach show. It's another Zach Bagans show. So, it's going to come out, and then, still working on my own stuff, still writing books and doing my weekly podcast, New England Legends. Which how it is
so great, by the way. I whenever I can tune into it, I like to listen to it while I drive. Because it's a great road trip show.
And it's short. It's only like 15 minutes. So when you say like, I listen to it when I can, I'm like, oh, you don't have 15 minutes? My God.
You've seen I have twins, right?
No, I know, right? I know. I get it. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Being my daughter turned 16 just a couple weeks ago. 16.
Wow.
That's like, so now we're to the stage where when we pull up to the end of our street, she wants to drive from the end of the street, and like learner's permits coming and driver's ed and all that. And
how do you feel about that as a dad?
So I've, for whatever reason, me getting older doesn't bother me. Like, I don't really think about it, like, whatever, who cares? Birthdays, I don't, whatever. But when she went to Europe on a school trip like last month, and can we swear? I don't know what.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I was shitting pickles for the week, right? That she was gone. Cause I'm like, she's over there. I mean, yes, there's chaperones. There's a whole big group. Everybody's safe.
Right. But kids are smart. I mean, kids are smart. They find a way.
They find it right up. Like, what trouble could you get into in, I don't know, Paris? Right. So, anyway,
Seems so innocent.
I know, right? There's no drugs or alcohol in Paris. So anyway, so there was that. And then she turned 16 and now we're starting the driving thing. And suddenly, I feel like you've been there too, right? So parenting goes in these waves of fear, right? In the beginning, you're just shell shocked, right? You're whatever, you're a zombie, but then you start to sort of get the hang of it. But then something new happens, like that they start
to move on their own.
Right. Yeah. They can walk, like you turn around and now they're way over there. So that's new. And you're like, ooh, right? And then you settle into that a little bit. And then, they become like teenagers and puberty and all this other stuff. And now you're like, oh my God. And now driving. And so everything is just, I feel like I'm afraid all the time now. We just started watching Last of Us,
A show with basically a single daughter figure.
Yeah, this is great. Right. So anyway, so I'm watching all this, and there was a character that sort of said, like, I was never scared until I cared about somebody. And I'm like, I get it. I so get it. Like, if it was just me, I'd be fearless. Who cares about anything? But yeah. So anyway, my life is just completely full of fear now, and which has nothing to do with the paranormal.
which I'm sure is an adjustment for you because
Yeah.
I mean, it's a different kind of fear entirely.
Totally. Yeah, I was used to like looking for scary things and monsters and ghosts and haunted places and terrible murders and serial killers. Like, yeah, that's one thing. But like your kid getting her driver's license, oh my God. Now I know fear. 15 years of working on Ghost Adventures. Sure, scary moments, but nothing could have prepared me for this.
And what is she like about it? Like, how does she react to you with it?
What about like driving and stuff?
Yeah, like is she super excited about it? Is she
yeah.
because I know I was very hesitant to get my license in the beginning.
Well, because you can't reach the pedals. Oh, Jesus, that was
Wow.
Low. You get it?
Yeah, because I'm sure. Yeah,
even like you could put the camera down and look taller. I look taller than you right now, and it's just pure camera angle.
Well, I do that because I want you to feel like the star here,
right?
And also, I'm tiny.
Oh, shucks. No, my she's kind of excited. I think she understands like the freedom that will come. We live in a small town, right? You can't get anywhere. And, so I think she's getting excited about the freedom that comes with having your own car and being able to drive.
Jeff, hi. Nice to meet you. I'm Kate. I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt, but also you were probably like, is this a ghost? And do I need to deal with her? Don't tell me, did my internet go out again?
No,
we see
here.
you.
Okay, so something is happening, and Jeff, it's very early to meet you and unload like this.
Please.
But something's happening to my internet specifically at night because 90% of these people that are here watched me on a show earlier today with no internet problems whatsoever. Are you guys still there? Because you're frozen for me.
Yeah,
we're here.
So I then went to get my 100-foot Ethernet cable. I am now plugged in. My Wi-Fi is off. I'm hoping that solves whatever's going on here. That being said, then the children saw me and needed more dinner. So I apologize for this being my entrance.
I love it. It's real. It's authentic. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. But
it does feel pretty much you. I mean, is your life.
Internet busier at night in my neighborhood? Like what's the reason for all the like you guys are freezing every 3 seconds for me.
Jason, do you want to explain it to her or do you want me to?
Yeah.
Go ahead. You can, Jeff.
You want me to get this one
here this week? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, at night, Kate, sometimes people get lonely and there's certain websites that take a lot more bandwidth than others.
Okay.
Because they're streaming lots and lots of videos.
Netflix.
Yep, that's one of them.
Amazon Prime.
Sure, another. Yep.
HBO.
Yeah, HBO Max. All good ones. All good ones.
Skinamax.
Yep.
Now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
You're heading down the right path.
Now we're getting to the root of the problem. So lots and lots of people are filling the void right now.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's just and thus people like us doing wholesome streams are being bogged down.
Unfortunately, you guys are not having the same problem I am, so it really seems to be a me issue.
Oh yeah, because our neighbors aren't perverts.
Okay. Okay. All right. You
Well,
know
mine
what?
are, but they have their own. They're not stealing our Wi-Fi.
I gotta just add something to my to-do list. Move
I told you, Mulligan, password
away
your Wi-Fi at
Yeah.
home.
from
Jason
the
changes his
perverts.
password every day. Every day it's like, yeah, you'll never crack it.
The guy next door is really crafty. I mean,
Yeah.
he figures out the new password all the time.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Jeff, how do you and Jason know each other? Did I miss this already?
We met on Christian Mingle,
Mhm.
and this was like the earliest days of the website.
That's so funny because Jason and I met on JDate, which makes me
Yeah.
feel like he's just playing all the religious websites.
Which by the way, I think that's smart, because when the apocalypse comes, you're going to find out who's right, and you want to be like,
Yes.
hey, I kept kosher, I wore a
Yes.
yarmulke, I went to church, I did Lent, all that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I have a very specific playbook that I have always used that has worked very well for me.
yeah, good. Okay, good. How did we meet, Jason?
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time. I was actually in college, and you were
my
running.
God.
You were running the Ghost Village newsletter.
Oh God, yeah, I've been doing that for 24 years.
And I used to post on that forum all the time, and you had reached out to do a featured ghost hunter thing, and we hit it off from there, and we've been friends ever since.
So Christian Mingle or ghostvillage.com, one of those websites.
Either way, I found love at the end of it.
It's so funny. When you first said Christian Mingle, I didn't realize there was like a split second. If you watch this back, you'll be able to see where my boss's name is Christian. So I thought that there was somebody for a split second.
Wow, we lost her again.
Poor Kate. So much pornography in her house.
She just really needs to restart the router.
That's unplug and plug back in. Yeah, that's all I know. If
this was an old school NES, you just need to blow into the cartridge, Kate, and everything will be fine.
Honestly, if this was a CD, do you remember putting toothpaste on CDs?
No, I remember like Windex.
Windex, is that what? No, I think there was a toothpaste to like fill the ridges. Yeah. Christian Mingle is hogging my bandwidth, is exactly right. So here, let me ask you this, IT guys, including Narcolepsy 27 in the chat. Today, the AT&T guy came, knocked on my door, said, "Can I get into your backyard? I need to take a picture of the pole that all of the internet is on because 2 more neighbors are trying to add and your pole is full." Could that have something to do with it?
Yeah, I think probably, yes.
He said the port is full, and he said that he's like, 2 more neighbors want to add on, and I keep telling my supervisor that the port is full already, so we need to add a new one. Anyway, if they just added more people to my port, I'm going to flip this table.
So what? Don't you just go to like speedtest.com or something and you can see what you're dealing with?
Okay, that sounds like a dare, Jeff.
Yeah, it's on.
Should
we all do it and see how we're doing? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you guys, everybody in the chat, tell us who do you think is going to have the best speed?
Speedtest.com.
Is it .com or .net?
Oh, nope. You know what? Don't do that. That's not it. Hold on.
Okay.
It took me someplace bad. Speed test.
Well, now we've filled the rest of her bandwidth.
.net.
Speedtest.net. Okay, by
Right.
Ookla.
I'm going. Here it's going.
Okay. Me too.
I'm probably going to start bogging down. Oh, look at blazing.
Blazing?
I'm blazing. I'm also going really fast.
It's not even.
Okay.
I'm at like it's connecting.
105 megabytes per second and holding.
I am at 3.48 megabytes per second.
Not good at all.
Mine is at 442.17 MBS.
Yeah, so my download and upload's like over 100 megabytes a second.
Okay. And you're pulling in just 3.
I'm now pulling in 31.
Yay.
I'm pulling in 31 now. You know, the other problem is in the mornings when I'm doing the show that I do, there's no one else on the internet in my house. And my boys, because they are fending for themselves for this hour, are 100% on a device right now. Okay, guys. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, this was great. Hey, when did we start the show? When did we go live?
Yeah.
Because I'm ready. Like, let's do it.
This is gonna be great for the iTunes listeners. They're gonna really enjoy that.
Wait, I missed though. Jason, is Jeff faster than you, or are you faster than Jeff?
What was your final number?
105.
I was 437.
Yeah. Wow. Well done. So
we're right by the hub though here, so it is a little faster right here, I believe.
Mine doesn't even go up to 400. I don't think. My download.
Kate, you are still technically running at AOL's original speeds from 95.
This is not amazing. A good way to do a show. Anyway, thank God we're not live.
It's nice to meet you, by the way. So when we do go live, we'll get past all this banter and be like, oh yeah, we've known each other forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So Jeff, I just heard you saying that you have a daughter that is now 16. Does that mean?
Just turned 16. Yeah.
Just turned 16. First of all, how are you enjoying the other parts of The Last of Us? How far along are you?
We're only on episode 4.
Okay, so you've seen episode 3 already.
Yes. Oh.
Could you even?
We watched it last night. In fact, my daughter bawled like a girl.
Could you? Yeah. She is. Like the girl that she is.
She did. She cried.
And how many narcolepsy wins 755 download. He's an IT guy though.
Yeah,
of course. Of course.
He's a cheater.
What are some of those websites like on your computer?
Yeah.
It must be there.
He truly is the only fan on OnlyFans at that point.
Well done.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Feeling a little inadequate now.
Narcolepsy is 2 girls. How many kids do you have, Jeff?
Just one. We didn't need a practice kid. We got it right the first time.
You got it right the first time. That's right. Let's do it. We actually, Jason and I both should have stopped with our first.
Yeah, should have. Yeah.
Well, ours the egg.
Because Jason got a bonus.
We got the bonus, Jonas, and I didn't ask for that.
Oh, did you think about getting rid of one?
I have tried every day, but Pennsylvania state law says that he's got to stay.
Oh, that's too bad.
You've actually met him.
I've met the whole clan. I know.
I know, they're so sweet.
Yeah.
Jeff was actually there the day that he was coined the Dark Lord when my wife wheeled him in, and Dave Schrader's the one who called him that first, because he was wheeled in. He had like this he has utter disdain for Dave Schrader anyway for some reason. and whenever he looks at Dave, he just looks like he's ready to punch Dave in the face.
Poor Dave.
And when my wife wheeled him in, that Dave called him the Dark Lord, and then that name has stuck. He answers to it.
That's beautiful.
Well, it's because that is what you refer to. I mean, he's just taking the cues from his family, which is that his name is the Dark Lord. I mean, that's what you call him. So it's not like, oh, he answers to it. Isn't that incredible? It's like, yeah, because you continue to call him that.
This is an old debate, right? Nature or nurture, right?
Yeah.
And you are nurturing the Dark Lord, and maybe that's his name. It's
there. It is.
I'm not a doctor.
Is there any equipment, like paranormal equipment, you could use to see what's going on with him?
Yeah. It's my didgeridoo.
Oh,
can you play it?
Oh, hell yeah, I can. But like the house is sleeping.
Oh.
And I'm sure my daughter's already annoyed. I'm like, look, if I go down in the basement, I'll have no bandwidth, and everyone will think I'm like Kate.
By the way, thanks for letting me use your basement.
Yeah, anytime.
That's where I'm currently from.
Yeah. Just leave me some beer in the fridge.
Not a chance.
Yeah. There's
a chance.
Yeah. No. So I'm not your typical like ghost hunter guy. I've done all that stuff. I've done with the equipment and everything, but I'm really more about the story, the history, and the experience, because that's the thing that, like, you can't argue with. You don't have to believe it. I mean, I accept that not everyone's going to believe it, but I love this story. And I love that sometimes these weird stories exist in places that, I mean, it's nothing to do with me or you. It's just the community keeps them around. And you go, why is that? Why do we talk about this building and not that building and not that building? And next thing you know, there we are filming TV shows and
Yeah.
podcasts and all kinds of other stuff.
Next thing you know, Miss O'Leary's cow has burned down the city of Chicago.
Yep. Kick that lamp over and that's it. Up she went.
The
Blame the cow.
opposite of the miracle of Hanukkah.
Did
Right.
you, when you started out with, like, especially with Ghost Adventures, did you think that the paranormal television train would still be running 15 years later like it is?
So when I started, it was still the late night. Okay, so let me go way back. When I was a kid, I grew up in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, and I lived in the town next to Ed and Lorraine Warren. So I knew Ed and Lorraine Warren since I was 13 years old. I knew John Zaffis when he had hair. Right?
That's been a spell.
That's been a minute. So anyway,
I'm so sorry to interrupt. I just have to clarify. Is Sandy Hook where the tragedy occurred?
that's the one. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
That was
Sorry,
my
I
elementary
swore.
school.
You're
I'm
fine.
Sorry. That was
That
your
was-
elementary school?
That was like 37 school shootings ago.
I
Like, get over it. I mean, you know.
Oh, that's the one that I can never ever learn too much about that one. That one can't. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So that was my elementary school.
You just very casually. That would be like if I was like, I was born on September 11th, 2001.
Well,
Nothing
first
special
9/11
happened that
lesson.
day. Like,
She's got an
you just-
obsession with 9/11 that does rear its head.
I'm
from
just
time
saying
to
you cannot
time.
drop Sandy Hook in the description. You didn't need to put it up there. Anyway, go ahead.
So the funniest thing is that like your whole life, you said, where are you from? Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Ironically, before that, there was one other reason why people remembered that town. And this would have been back in the 80s. When someone was like, is that the town where that guy fed his wife through a wood chipper? And you go, yes, that was us. That was Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Well done. And yeah, now it's dawning. Oh, that Jesus. Yeah, that's us too. We got it all in Sandy Hook.
So you've started early on with the macabre in the very DNA of who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ed and Lorraine Warren, all that stuff. So I knew them when I was like 13. They were like local celebrities, and this was before the internet and everything else. And you'd be like, "Oh, I heard that building's haunted on Main Street." Like, "Oh, come on, no way." No, Ed and Lorraine Warren checked it out, and like that was it. You dropped the mic and you walked away. Oh, all right, then it's haunted. So when Ghost Adventures started, that was 2008, and Ghost Hunters had already been on. Like there'd been a Paranormal State, there'd been other shows. And I remember when Ghost Adventures started, we had these meetings. It was just going to be 8 episodes. That was it when our first season run. And the big muckety mucks at Travel Channel were saying, we view paranormal now the way that everybody views cooking shows. Like we think they're just going to be on forever. There have been cooking shows for 60, 70 years now, more, right? And there always will be cooking shows, period. The personalities will change, the trends will change, but there will be cooking shows. And they said the same about the paranormal. And if you think back to the 80s, if you think back to In Search Of and Amazing Stories,
Unsolved
Mysteries, right?
Yes.
Like it's been on the air for
That's
decades.
true. Yeah, that's true. I guess I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's never not been on the air, really. But now the idea of the investigation, that's been steady since when was Ghost Hunters? 2004, I think, right? Like that's
somewhere in that neighborhood.
So I mean, we're going on 20 years now of constant paranormal investigation. I don't think it's going away. I think the trends will change, the personalities will change. 15 years we've been running, I mean, on Ghost Adventures. That's a lot. How many shows have run 15 years? Not many, right?
No.
Like not too many go that long. I mean, a few.
Simpsons,
I mean,
60
the
minutes.
Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah, Simpsons, 60 minutes. Yeah, you could think of them, But so anyway, it's been an incredible run, and it's cool to have a job that long.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Right?
That's the.
Now, does your
that's-
daughter share your love of the strange and unusual?
So she loves scary movies, and we love watching them together. Like we've loved horror since probably before it was appropriate, right? She was probably like way too young to be watching some of these movies. One of our favorite movies was The Conjuring, right? The Conjuring movie.
Mhm.
And so I was doing I was filming a shock doc for Discovery, and they said, we're going to do all the interviewing at the Conjuring house. I only live like 35 minutes from the Conjuring house in Rhode Island. And so I said, okay, yeah, you know how filmings go. It's like all afternoon, right? It's hours of just interviews. And so I said, look, I have childcare issues. Can I please bring my daughter? She's old enough. She'll just hang out. And they're like, yeah, of course. Absolutely. which was a total lie. I had no childcare issues whatsoever. I was just like, Sophie, you want to go to the Conjuring house with
that's
me
amazing.
all day? And she's
That's
like,
amazing.
oh yeah. I'm like, hell yeah, we're going. So she hung out in the kitchen. We did the, you know how it goes. You're there for hours and
Hours.
just adjusting lights and microphone levels and stuff. And I mean, like, lights were flickering. And when we were there, I was like, look, her name's Sophie. I was like, Sophie, make sure you use the bathroom before we go. Like, make sure you use it while you're here. We were there for 4 hours. There was no problem. She probably went like 3 times. And as we're going home, I said, use the bathroom, right? She's like, yeah, Jesus, of course. She was like, what, 12 at this point, right? And I said, okay, good. And she's like, why is that so important to you? I said, because now you can tell your friends that you peed in the Conjuring house. And she's like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. I'm like, I know, right?
She's like, joke's on you, Dad. I took a shit.
Yeah, peed. I took an upper decker. Yeah, that'll be there a while. Yeah. Like, you wonder why there's padlocks on the tanks now when you go to that house. Now you know why.
No. Good old Sophie.
Yeah.
Good old Sophie drivey Kari.
No
That's her
more
name.
upper
Drivey
deckers
Kari.
at the Conjuring house. But yeah, so it was really cool, like, to take her to some of these places. Most of the time, it's not really her thing. I mean, she digs. Like, we got to go to London last summer.
Oh, that's cool.
For an event that there was a paranormal event, and so, like, I got to bring the family, which was so fun. And so, like, we're in the ghost hunt and stuff, and they're like, okay, this is the most haunted room. Does anyone want to go in alone with a camera? She's like, I'll go. I'm like, that's my girl. But yeah, but other than that, I'm like, I want her to follow her own path. I was like, please do something else. This is a brutal way to make a living.
You're basically Meryl Streep right now. You're like, just do anything but act.
Anything. It's a hustle, man. You guys know, right? Like, it's an endless hustle. And I mean, okay, granted, when I first got out of college, I worked for a corporation for the 7 longest months of my life. And they went through 2 mergers in 7 months. And I was like in the marketing department, and I was looking at people that were decades older than me going, my God, they've been here for 40 years. This is all they know. And it scared the hell out of me, right? It just scared me. And it's not for me, right? And but at the same time, there's been plenty of times I fantasized about being back in that cubicle where someone else has to worry about everything, and just having a regular job where you go home at 5 and you shut it off. But Troy works 20 minutes from the Conjuring house. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for Troy. We're probably close, depending on which direction.
So what is Sophie into? Like, what is it that, like, what are her interests, and like, how do you share them with her? Like,
So
what's
it's crazy.
her thing?
She's writing her second book right now. A novel, fictional novel. It's like, no one told her to do this. Like, she just wants to do it. And so I'm like, oh God, where do you get that from? The first one, it was great. I mean, it's very much like Stranger Things, Stephen Kingy, like, those are the influences. So loves the 80s culture.
I heard you say a nonfiction, and then I was like, oh, okay. Sorry. Who's gonna tell Jeff that Stranger Things is fiction?
What?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to break. I'm sorry. I should have found a different way to say it, Jeff, but it's actually there isn't an upside down. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. She ruins everything.
I'm leaving. No, I thought I said novel. Did I not?
Did. No, maybe. But also, are you forgetting my internet?
Your internet sucks. So yeah, you probably hear every other word.
I heard like maybe novel, maybe you said fiction, and I heard nonfiction. Whatever it wasn't what you said. So
might see me around if you need pet food. Okay, Troy works at PetSmart, as we call it here in Massachusetts, because we are massholes. That's what they call the indigenous people.
Yes. Speaking of massholes, or speaking of the East Coast, I sort of have a theory that places that don't experience true fall are not haunted, which means that the entire East Coast is haunted. Mm-hmm. And like, all I can think of is like, yes, I understand. Like, there's a Las Vegas hotel but I'm also like, yeah, but it's sunny 95% of the time. So it just doesn't feel as scary. Like, I feel like nobody's like, oh, we gotta go expose that house. And it's just like 112 degrees. Like, it's always creepy, cold weather places. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Context is part of the part of it for sure, right?
Yeah.
So when you have expectations of a haunt, then yes, you're going to have some context, like it's on a hill, it's alone, it's abandoned, it's creepy, there's dead trees and things like that. However, I've been on the Queen Mary a bunch of times, and
Oh yeah, sure.
Long Beach, right, which has
Yes.
got ghosts throughout, and
But was it ever creepy in the day?
sure.
Probably not.
Go
Probably
below-
creepiest
What
at
was the
night.
house, Kate, that I was going to do with the World Girls? What was that? I was supposed to. There
Oh,
was
I
a
don't
house out
know.
by you guys. I can't remember the name of it. Schrader's the one who told me about it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There were was the Manson murder house.
Oh no. The Olsen house. It's
Mary Kate and Ashley. Full
yes,
house.
that's
It's
them.
the Full House set. I know
It's
what
the
you're
Come
house.
on now, Kate, cut it out.
That's the house next to the Manson murder house where they
Okay.
killed what's her name, the pregnant woman,
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. Thank you. Yeah, so
Yes,
it's the
that's
house
the one.
next door. Ghost Adventures. We filmed there way back when. We filmed there years ago, and yeah, I mean it's a weird place for sure.
Did they
I
film
really
Once Upon a-
enjoyed it because the guy when we talked to the proprietor, he was really friendly. He's like, guys can come out, you can shoot, I'll make you guys a rib dinner. And I was like, I'm on. As soon as you said rib dinner, I'm
Yeah.
in.
But
Yeah.
we were gonna have to pay.
Probably.
Well, you and I weren't. They were.
Oh, they were gonna. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, no, I mean he claims his house is haunted. He claims there's a connection, even though there's a good old bit of distance between the house where the murders happened and his house. But see, this is the funny thing, is that whenever there's a haunting, like we need to explain it, even if we're totally wrong. Like even if we're 100% wrong. So like you go to like a bed and breakfast in Virginia, and it's an old one, and they have a sign that says George Washington slept here.
Okay.
And like there's knocks on the wall. They go, that's George Washington. You're like, really? He was here one night in 1791, and he's gonna haunt here forever and ever. Yep. Oh,
Yes.
okay, that makes sense.
Well, here's the other thing. What you're talking about with context, that it matters. Do you think that people, how often is it that people know that's really good, Troy. Plot twist, they're your ribs.
Now I'm in. Now I want to go.
Now,
I didn't-
Justin.
Before I was
Meal
like,
pay.
been there, done that. Oh wait, Jason's ribs. All right, I'm listening.
Delicious.
Little coleslaw on the side.
I'm going to see if I can ask this in a way that's articulate and not idiotic, but I got to tell you, I don't know that I'm at articulate tonight. So
We'll blame your internet.
yeah, we'll just,
Fine.
the internet is also attached to my brain. So
Right.
we're going slow. I feel like if somebody says to me, oh, that's the house where the Manson murders happened, immediately I'm creeped out by it. That's the school. That's the Sandy Hook grade school.
Yeah.
That's so immediately I start projecting a vibe on the place or whatever. So how often are places deemed haunted or strange things are happening when it's unknown that something crazy happened there? Is it it just seems to me like what came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the story or the haunting? It seems to me like most times it's probably new owners in a house being like, well, we were told that the last owner died here. And now every night at 12 a.m., something and then we looked it up and she died at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. I mean, it just a lot of times it feels like there's a stretch that's happening to fit the narrative.
Well, you forgot daylight savings, but anyway.
Thank you.
Right. 12-hour time difference. But so, okay. Number one, like you basically just summed up like folkloric hauntings, right? So if we drive by,
You're welcome.
And I thank you. And I say, that's the Sharon Tate murder house.
Yeah.
You get a chill and you go, ooh. Because you're a human being and you understand what a horrible thing happened there. And it haunts you because it should haunt you, because you know that could happen again. And because we know there are monsters in the world. We know that there's things way worse than ghosts. There's people that do these horrible crimes. So when you pass places like that, it should chill you. You should remember it. You should connect to it. And when we connect to it, we get scared. We're literally connecting with history. Near me, the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River.
Oh my God.
2 people were murdered in that house and no one was ever punished for the crime. So that haunts us. Like a crime went unpunished, and you walk in and of course it looks like it's 1892 and the decor.
Creepy.
And there's the crime scene photos on the wall in case you didn't remember. It's all there. And so that's all the context of it. Now, that being said, sometimes we hear stories about people that live in houses that there's no big history or anything, but yeah, it seems to be haunted. But without that murder, the murder, suicide, the gruesome history, it's just sort of innocuous. You're like, I don't know, but something is bumping in the night. Doesn't mean they're wrong.
Right.
And of course, sometimes I think it's more to do with the people than the building. Right. I mean, some people are magnets for this stuff, and some people, live in the Amityville house for years and have nothing happen.
No, it all came with me.
Came with Jason and his ribs, his delicious ribs.
It's just like I live in a neighborhood that the Wonder Years house is in. And all I'm saying is nothing is special about that house from the outside at all until it's the Wonder Years house. And now all of a sudden there's people driving by slowly, taking back, and so there's just this, and I feel like I hear this a lot, and I'm not trying to call you guys on this.
Do it. Try it.
But I do feel like a lot of times what people will say is exactly what you just said, which is like, well, there are some people that are sensitive to it, or there's some people that draw it to them, or there's some people, and that may very well be the case, but it does seem like that is a lot of times it's, because I'm like, well, I want to have a haunt. Can I have a haunting?
You can.
Thank you.
I can arrange it. You're not going to like it. It's going to be awful.
But I'm going to know what it is.
But you'll know. So, so a part of what you described too is same related to haunting. So, in real estate, there's something called a stigmatized property.
Yeah.
And a stigmatized property needs to be disclosed when someone's selling that property. Right. For example, you own the Amityville house where 6 people were murdered in the 1970s, and it's the house that all the movies and books and stuff were made from, and so on. So you would have to disclose it, that you're buying a property where people are going to drive by day and night and look at it. Same as the Wonder Years house. Same as the
Brady Bunch house. When Jamie and I were there, I can't even tell you how many times people stopped while we were we were there like 10 minutes shooting a video.
Yeah, right. It's famous. And part of the reason that we're drawn to fame, and by the way, famous and infamous, I'm not sure there's a difference of definition anymore, right? It's just, it's known. And so you went to the Brady Bunch house, you went to the Wonder Years house, I went to Lizzie Borden's house because I wanted to become part of the story, because I knew there's a bigger narrative, and now I get to write a chapter into it. I've been there. I've been to the Conjuring house. You've been to the Brady Bunch house. You've been to the Wonder Years house. And now you are part of the story, right? You know, you're an insider. You didn't just see it on TV. You've been there. And so that's the draw of any folkloric story. When I was a kid, we used to have sleepovers at a friend's house, and this buddy lived right across the street from a cemetery. And, late at night, there was one cemetery, one crypt, above ground stone, rectangular crypt in a sea of like normalish headstones. And for whatever reason, the story went around that that was the witch's grave. And if you knocked on it 3 times at midnight, the witch jumped out. So of course we're in the kid's basement. It's 11:55. And we're like, we're going, right? So we sneak out of the house. We go across the street. We're creeping up to the thing. And is it daylight savings? Is it not? It doesn't matter. We're looking at the clock.
It was the scarier 12. Got it.
The scarier 12. And there's, no one around. It's remote. And you walk up to that rectangular crypt, right? And then knock, knock, knock. Now, here's the thing. The witch may have jumped out. We have no way of knowing because we were sprinting so fast back toward his house, right? At like Jesse Owens speed, like Usain Bolt past him, right? And then dove back into the house. And the witch could be like, guys, hey, I'm right here. Like, what happened? Right?
Narcolepsy said she jumped out and served you ribs.
Yes, with coleslaw and some potato salad with no raisins.
Well, my ribs are getting a lot of mileage tonight.
Yeah.
Are you a good witch or a bad witch? I'm the one that serves potato salad with no raisins. I'm a good witch.
Yes, my God. Right, exactly. So anyway, we hear these stories, and the thing about them is that there's some piece of it that in the primal part of us where we're like, that could be true. What if it is true? What if you do knock 3 times and the witch jumps out? What if I go to the
Wonder Years did shoot there? That's crazy.
Well, I know. And so anyway, you become part of the story, and that's all part of the fascination. Every single one of us is a product of every moment of our lives, right? The people who raised you had a big influence on you. Your friends had an influence on you, your teachers, but even like whoever served you coffee at the coffee shop this morning, or the grocer that checked you out at the checkout, right? Like all those people have a little bit of influence on you. And all of those people, including us, are a product of where we were raised, the people that raised us, and the history that took place on that region. Like, and so it's natural that we would sort of connect with our own roots in that way, because when we share a story like that, when we talk about ghosts and hauntings, we're literally connecting to the past and bringing it to the present. We're bonding with each other, and there's an inherent moral to the story, which is why we share it. Because if there was nothing to it, if it was just like, yeah, the house is haunted, you wouldn't pass that on. It's not interesting. It's not a good narrative. It's not a good story. It would just die on the vine. But no, that's the house where the murder happened. It was never solved. People still see the apparition walking down the hall, crying out for justice. Ooh, right? Now we're talking human stuff there. And now we're in. And it doesn't matter who you voted for or what religious organization you attend or don't attend. It's just being a human. We're down to that. And that's what I love about this stuff. I think ghosts and hauntings could save the world if we let them.
My God, he's eloquent.
Yeah, well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff Belanger for president.
Are we going to go live soon? Because I feel like we're wasting all this. Like,
yeah, this we got a lot of good B-roll here. Can we start shooting the A?
We should really start getting to it.
Well, I keep trying, but Kate's bandwidth won't let it start.
Fair enough.
Guys, it hasn't been a problem in a while. Let's just not say anything about it. Okay.
Yeah. Fair.
Right.
You guys haven't frozen on me in a while. I tried to run the speed test again, and it started to freeze. I'm like, all right, I can't have more than one tab open. It's fine.
Right.
And if either of my boys walk up the
old
hallway,
like party lines back in like 1970s.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's on the party line? Yeah. No, this is I'm gonna, you know what? As narcolepsy says, it's the bandwitch. I love it.
So Jeff, kind of switching gears, tell Kate about your excursion to Kilimanjaro, because she does not know your story.
Oh, yeah. So I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in 2017.
Same with me and Jason.
Right. You guys were right behind me, right? You were the...
Oh, honey, I was ahead of you.
Oh, sorry. Forgive me.
But Jason was...
I was one of the people that got set back early.
Yeah.
When you say you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, actually, you're going to need to talk to me. As Denzel Washington said in the great movie Philadelphia, I'm going to need you to explain this to me like I'm a 3-year-old. Is climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, is any portion of it like the free solo guy?
No, it's the tallest mountain in Africa. It's 19,341 feet. If you're keeping score,
bragger.
A little bit, and you can hike it. You can do it. Hike. However, there's not a lot of air up there, and it took 6 days to get to the top and 2 days to get back down. So
there's air. It's just that there's not a lot of oxygen in the air.
Right. Yeah. It's very difficult to breathe when you get up that high. And it gets exponentially harder. But I did it because 2 years earlier, I lost my brother-in-law to cancer. And
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. And the Sandy Hook. Sorry. Sorry. Do you remember when your first pet died when you were a kid? Okay, let me go on.
The way that you just did a Sandy Hook joke is like, I've never seen somebody so seamlessly not be offensive, making the most offensive joke at the same time. Go ahead.
And I can do it because I'm from there.
Because you're from there.
That's right. You can't. I can.
I sure can't.
Now you understand.
I didn't even laugh at it, okay? I didn't even laugh at it.
Now you know the S word belongs to me and my people, right? You cannot use it. I can. Anyway, so I forgot what I was saying. Okay, so my brother-in-law, he was young. He was 44 when he got his diagnosis, and it just out of nowhere, they're like, "You have stage 4 cancer," and everyone was like, "What?" And I always got along with him. I always liked him, but for the next 2 years of his slow decline, he and I got really close because my sister was in denial. She didn't want to talk about the inevitable. They had a 5-year-old son at the time, and
your sister and her brother.
I'm her brother. My sister, my brother-in-law.
You're sorry.
Connecticut.
You said they had a child, a 5-year-old. You mean, okay, sorry. I was like, wait, your wife and his, okay.
My
I'm with you.
sister and my brother-in-law had a child.
Yes.
All very kosher. They're not related at all.
Okay. Whew.
And so as he starts going through his cancer journey, he spent that first year in just, horrible depression. And I can't say I blame him, but then he and I got really close because he called me one day and he's like, "Hey, you're into some really weird stuff." And I said, "Yeah, that's true." And he said, and I'm going through something really weird. And I said, "That's true too." I mean, most of us don't know our checkout date.
Yeah.
Which is natural. I don't want to know, right? I mean, that's not something we're supposed to know. And the thing about 2 years is that it's an interesting period of time because it's both a long time and not a long time. It exists in this, 2 years comes and goes pretty quick, but it's also, you can't quite hold your breath that long. Yeah. So as he declined, like he was practically an atheist when I met him, but he got a lot more spiritual. And at the very end, he was talking about out of body experiences he was having. And I had some of the most profound conversations of my life with this man, especially in the last time I saw him. When he was in the hospital, it was December of 2015. And at some point, the doctor's like, "We're sending you home to hospice. There's nothing more we can do, right? Your organs are failing. You're imminent, right? It's almost there." And so I drove down to Connecticut to say that goodbye that everybody complains that they don't get, and we talked for like 3 hours. And it was just so profound to hear him talk about the many out-of-body experiences he was having. He was seeing his cat from childhood. He's like, "I didn't even like the cat, but there's my cat walking through the room. I see that. I see my grandmother, and she'll be there and then not there." And I said, "Well, what do you think it means?" And he said, "I think there's something inside this very broken machine that's getting ready to break out and stay out." And I said, "Wow, that's really quite profound, and that he had this peace in his final days. And then he passed a couple days later. And then, we got to sort of like go on, and my nephew's 5 and my sister's a widow, and just like, holy crap. And so it was like 6 months later, and I was doing this paranormal event, and a woman I know from the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society said, "We got a fundraiser coming up, Jeff, and I think it'd be great. You'd love it." I'm like, "Oh, I'll help if I can." She's like, "We're going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and raise money to fight cancer." And I was like, so here's the thing that has not been mentioned yet. I can't believe, well, we're not live. It doesn't matter. So I took 2 semesters of Swahili in college for reasons that are just goofy. But my mom's like, "When are you ever going to use Swahili, the language of Eastern Africa?" I'm like, "You never know." And so
I hope your mother was still around for you to make that call.
The egg is still dripping from her face. Like, yeah. Yeah. Revenge is a dish best served ice cold, right?
Ice cold, baby.
moldy and old and rotted. So I knew some Swahili. I was a hiker. Kilimanjaro had been on my bucket list. My brother-in-law just died from cancer. I'm 2 years younger than he was, and I'm like, I don't know, the universe just sort of held this thing out on a golden platter. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. And so in the middle of my life, I went and did this thing just to do this thing. And it was amazing to be that unplugged, to be worried about all the problems of the world and then realize there's no cell signal or Wi-Fi or anything. And to just be like, you know what, the world will be okay without me. It'll go on. My family's going to be okay. They know what to do. Stuff's taken care of. And to get that unplugged and to get that quiet and to push myself physically. And I mean, like when you're in your 40s, you're just like, well, I don't think playing in the NFL's on the table anymore. Like there's lots of stuff that you get aged out of. But I still want to do some cool stuff and have some experiences that are just for me. And it felt selfish, but freeing. And it was a life-altering event. And that's why Kate left.
She may have passed on herself. I'm not even
so
sure.
Now she has the ghost experience. Now she understands it, Jason. We should get out a Ouija board and try to communicate with her.
Honestly, I'm just going to let her go. I actually am going to let her go.
Wow.
Oh, she's back. There we go.
So I said wrecked him, dang near killed him. And she's back.
I'm back. Listen, I don't know what to say because I'm like so captivated by this story too, that there was a couple moments when it was like, and I'm
Yeah.
like saying something profound and I'm missing it. Okay. Did you have to train physically for it?
Yeah, for sure.
Like an astronaut.
Well, you know,
Not a
no.
lot of oxygen.
No, that's true, but we didn't have spacesuits. So I'm already in pretty decent shape. I'm a runner, and you know, I'm a hiker, so I wasn't starting at zero. But it was kind of cool to have like such a huge fitness goal, and you know, when you get like in the middle of your life here somewhere, you start saying like, let it go, right? But you know, you'd be at the bar with your friends, and you're like, do I get the double cheeseburger? Will that help me get up the mountain in a few months? You know,
Yeah.
you have a reason to eat better and sleep better and take care of your body. And I highly recommend for anybody that's trying to stay healthy, you know, like set a lofty goal. Because it's a constant reminder to just be like, you know, and by the way, like I wasn't a saint. I mean, I had the pizza, I had the beer, but like I was also burning it off. Which was great.
I don't understand the concept. You burn it off.
Yeah.
Did you guys cure leukemia?
See, Sandy Hook. Take that. Yeah. Sit in that.
Can I ask you, because you have a relationship with stories of lives gone by, because you have experienced maybe, I don't know, the afterlife on some ways, what losing somebody close to you like your brother-in-law, and by the way, in my head it was your brother-in-law because it was your wife's brother.
No, sorry, my sister's husband. Yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
No, you're here.
What was the last thing that you said to me?
My sister's husband.
Yes, I understand that now, but that's why I was like, why did they have a kid? Like, it was very confusing.
They're very close family.
Sorry, you were saying sister and I was thinking wife.
Yeah.
How does that, like, do you feel like when he's like, this thing's breaking out and it's not coming back, like, do you feel, or it's going somewhere else, do you have any stories of like, and he came through to me, or is it sort of like, no, he broke out and he stayed out?
Yeah. So not only that, like he had talked about with my sister some signs and things that they would try to do, right? Because they knew what was coming.
Like a Houdini kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. No, they had some things that he said, I'll try to do this, you try to do that. And my sister feels like maybe possibly she got a sign or two.
Okay.
And I thought Chris knew her well enough that she would break down. You know what I mean? Like she would not be able to handle, like, here I am still around, right? Watching you get out of the shower. So
that part's weird anyway. Let's be honest.
If you were a ghost, what would you do?
You know what? Great point. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
You know.
So was I not supposed to be doing that this whole time? Like that was not a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Who you are in life is who you are in death, Jason. So yeah,
that's what they say.
A lot of shower looking.
So I how do we segue? So so I had a moment on the mountain where we had gone from base camp to we were making for the summit. We had to leave at midnight because it was going to take, like, the final push was like 8 hours up. And we wanted
sorry, you said midnight. You meant to say the scary 12. Go ahead.
The scary 12. Yeah.
Let's leave it the scary 12.
Tanzania time. So yeah, which is 7 hours ahead of East Coast. Do all the math. So anyway, so we start for the summit, and at some point it took all I could just to breathe and walk, and you're going so slow. I mean, and I'm lightheaded. I'm as cold as I've ever been. I'm a New England guy. I can handle the cold. We've got it down, but I was freezing. And it was, I've been in 60 below zero wind chills, and I was colder there. There's glaciers at the top. I mean, it's literally an Arctic tundra up there. So at some point, I don't even know how much further I can go, but I see, like, forever out in the distance behind me, and we're way above the clouds. You know, there's like this little sliver of light, and I realize, like, dawn's coming. and it's a little lighter. You get the gloaming of the morning where everything turns gray and then color starts to come in. And just as we hit the rim of the volcano, I turned around and there was this sunrise that just absolutely blew me away. And I felt that there's the Chaga people that live around the mountain have a word for the top, that it's where God dwells, because they believe only those that God deems worthy are allowed up there. And in this moment of sunlight where the world warmed up like 15 degrees, I felt certain that I'd make the summit. I felt worthy, and I felt Chris. I felt his presence next to me. Chris would laugh at that because he is the last person on earth to climb a mountain in life, right? Like he was not a athletic kind of guy. That was not his thing. You know, he was a sit and watch sports on TV kind of guy. But I felt him there, and I just had this moment of connection that was profound. And I understand I can't prove it to you. I can't show, there's nothing I can show you, but I just felt it. And for me, that was my sign. And I told my sister, and I'm like, I think maybe that's yours too, right? That he knew it would be a better message through me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think what's so beautiful about when people have stories like that, which is like, that's just a gorgeous story. It's just an amazing story, is I don't actually feel skeptical of that. I'm like, oh, because it's not, I feel like sometimes where I find skepticism is like, there's this thing that happened. You're going to experience this thing. And you're not telling me to experience this about your brother-in-law. You're telling me what you experienced. And that to me is so much easier to, like, I have no horse in this race. Like, of course that's what you felt. Like, of course you don't need to prove that to me. And I think that where, sometimes like, this house is haunted. If you go stay in this jail in New England overnight, you're going to hear knockings. And I'm like, man, maybe I won't, that's where I feel like a little combative about the whole thing.
No,
but I feel like these stories, I'm like, there's anybody who wants to fight you on what that was is honestly insane. Like, that's just it. Of course that's what that was. Of course that's what that was. You kidding me?
So I will show you, here you go. If you can bring that up. This was the moment. I took this picture. God. So that was the sunrise. I turned around. This is exactly the moment where I felt Chris. I felt the mountain. I felt everything. And I took that picture at about 6:30 in the morning from about 18,500 feet right at the rim of the volcano.
Wow.
Oh my God. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So that was, and it's a photo that I've had it made into postcards. I've given away literally thousands of these. I wrote a book about the experience called The Call of Kilimanjaro. I've given this talk, so many times. But when you hike mountains, everybody sort of assumes that the summit is this profound moment, and summit's great, but it's not the game changer. And and that's Chris. That's Chris and my nephew at the summit with me. So he was with me.
How are your sister and your nephew doing now? Oh, sorry. Did I break up?
No, that's okay. My sister's okay. Like she's moved on, but she's still struggling. My nephew, he was young enough that he doesn't have a lot of memories of his dad, which is sort of sad too.
Yeah.
I mean, when he was 5. Yeah, it's the sadness, I think, is missing what his friends have, which is they have dads that go to his sporting events and things like that. And he's got, a grandfather and an uncle and that is there for him. He just did his confirmation, Catholic confirmation 2 weeks ago. And it was
you his sponsor?
No, God, no. Would you have me be a sponsor?
You're hilarious.
If you were a Catholic. So,
I exclusively request it.
Yeah.
So we go there, and this was great. I'm going to share another tab because this is just too much fun now. So we go there, and I'm proud of him. He was an altar boy and everything, and I'm like, look, don't mess around with watch the priests.
Yeah.
Because
he was an altar boy, which means worse things have happened in his life than his father dying.
That's totally true. So anyway,
and by the way, Jason, that's not actually a joke. Priests
I know.
literally look for the boys who have lost their fathers.
No, I've told him. I said, don't be alone in a room with any priest. I said, don't be alone in any room with any adult who's not
Yeah.
not a family member, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no reason for someone to be like, hey, come with me back here in the closet. So anyway, so we were there, and the bishop's there. This is in Newtown, right? This church is in Newtown where they still live, and the bishop's there, and so his sponsor was actually a deacon in the church, like he's involved in the church.
Yeah.
And so we go up and like, can we get a family picture with the bishop? And so we go up there and right in front of the altar, and I had the opportunity to, while everybody was setting up for the photo, I had the opportunity to take a selfie with the back of the bishop's head. Which was
This just in. Jeff Belanger is not scared of there being a hell.
And you know what's funny? If you see the woman in red there, right off the corner of my head, she's laughing because she's the only one that seems to see me doing this. And that's my daughter to the lower right, who's just like, that's dad being dad.
Oh my God.
Anyway, good times.
That is
Wow.
so funny. I feel like we've kept you for an hour. I have a heart out because I've got to put my children to bed, but this was so delightful. I actually wish, did I freeze again?
No,
For
you're
the
here.
love of, okay. For the love of all things. I feel like I could talk to you for about 7 more hours. But in general, where can people find you, Jeff?
Well, my website, jeffbelanger.com. I'm on Facebook.
Oh, I've been saying it wrong the whole time. I'm so sorry. Belanger.
No problem,
Belanger.
Mulligan. You're like that thing in golf where you screw up.
Yeah.
You want to do it again.
Also, by the way,
great.
when you said Tanzania, I was like, so it's not Tanzania. Good to know.
No,
Good to know.
Well done.
So when you eventually climb the mountain, Kate, you will know not to call it that.
Yeah. Don't call it that.
And I'll use that Swahili that I learned.
Or go
Belanger.
up from the Kenya side. And then you don't have to worry about Tanzania.
Then I don't have to worry about that at all.
Yeah.
I would like to propose that you possibly say your last name incorrectly. I'm just going to put that out there. Okay. I'm putting that out there.
Sure. Yeah. You got it.
It feels like a real Belanger.
It's Belanger, actually, if you want to be en français. But
I don't. I want you to have an accent aigu or accent grave if I'm supposed to say.
Secoflex.
Yeah. I want something if I'm supposed to say it like that.
Maybe I could put umlauts over it.
Yeah.
And make it German.
That'd be good.
Oh, yes. So anyway, I'm always around doing something and on social media and doing events. And
when your show comes out, will you come back and
no, because I have a new book coming out in the fall, and I'll come back for that. Are you ready for this?
Season.
The book, I'm very excited.
Yeah, what's the book called? I'm ready.
Okay, so let's bring the cover up because listen, it's a Christmas book, and what we're going to do is we're going to save Christmas. Oh. All right. Here we go. The Fright Before Christmas, Surviving Krampus and the Other Yuletide Monsters.
That's awesome.
So it's a Christmas book about all the monsters and dark, scary things. If you thought Halloween was the scariest holiday of the year, you're wrong. It is the second scariest holiday of the year. Christmas by far is the most frightening.
By far.
Halloween just has ghosts. Ghosts are scary. I get it. But Christmas has monsters that are here to kill you and kill your children. Murder, death, mayhem. That's what it's about.
You also know how scary it is for 8 consecutive years to wake up and not. Did you guys hear my talking electronic battleship joke or no?
No, we just heard wait 8 years and not. But I bet it was great.
I said, you know what else is scary?
What?
I said, you know what else is scary? Waking up for 8 years in a row and not having talking electronic battleship under your tree.
Oh.
Still holding on to that, huh?
Oh, you poor thing. So anyway, yes, let's talk Christmas. This fall, winter. Let's talk about Christmas because
I would love that.
People need to be concerned if they're going to survive the winter and the solstice and Krampus and Belschnickel and Grilla from Iceland and the Coraconculus oh my God, there's so many monsters that are lurking in the dark, in the cold, shortest day, longest night of the year, waiting to kill us. And you need to be warned. You need to be ready if you're going to survive. This is life and death.
You guys, the joke I made was that it's very scary for 8 years in a row to wake up and not have electronic talking battleship under your tree.
You're still going on with that, huh?
Did it work? Did the joke work yet?
Oh, you told it. Did it work? Oh, well, that's an opinion, I guess.
That's fine. No, I'm just.
I actually
listen, as long
pretended
as-
you froze for a little while so that I just didn't hear it.
Yeah, for sure. Poor. Oh, do we have time
All
for
right,
one
well,
more
listen.
paranormal story, or do we have to
Of
go?
course, yeah. So no, absolutely.
last
Kate, if
one.
you have to
Of course,
go ahead.
I'm
So
gonna
the
go.
last-
Also, Jeff, I'm gonna go just because it's almost the scary midnight. It's almost the scary 12 for you. But it was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
And
You too.
everybody wants to hear this story. I will see you again. Hopefully, my internet will improve.
Kate, I'll see you Thursday.
All right.
I'll see you on Thursday. Goodbye.
Cheers. So last story, because the electric battleship reminded me. Do you remember the game Mr. Mouth?
Yes.
So it was a cone. It was a cup cone that went around, rah, 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 and you had a little hands with chips, and you'd try to flip your chip into the mouth.
The thing. Yep.
And whoever got the most of their colored chip in won the round or the game or whatever. And so it was very, very late at night, and I was probably like 6 years old. And my sister, unbeknownst to me, Mr. Mouth was on the highest shelf in my closet, and she tried to get it down and couldn't. So she gave up. Anyway, night comes. I'm in bed. It's the middle of the night. The whole house is asleep. And suddenly in my closed closet, because you have to shut the closet door to go to sleep or the monster will get you. Duh.
Right.
Obviously. I start hearing and I scream. I scream as loud as I can scream. Dad runs in and I'm like, monster in the closet. And he hears it too. It's not in my head, right? So anyway, for whatever reason, Mr. Mouth had been teetering all afternoon into the evening and chose like 3 a.m. as the time to fall, hit something, and turn itself on in the box and make that ungodly noise and scar me for life.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will hear that noise for the rest of the night.
I'm okay now, but it took a lot of therapy and alcohol.
I may need alcohol tonight just to not think about it when I go to bed.
So the closet monster's real is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've seen Monsters Inc. They're out there.
They're totally real.
Let me get you. So we have a new sponsor for the show. I'm actually, as I was going to tell you, we're headed out to Los Angeles tomorrow. For those of you tuning in right now, Mulligan and I will be live Friday at 9:30 Eastern time for a special show from the global launch of You Only Virtual. For those of you who saw the episode where Justin Harrison from the company came on, after Melissa had her stroke from the twins' birth, and I had the health stuff I started searching for a company that might be doing something in the AI space that was building virtual versions of ourselves. And we connected with them. We've been working with them for the past couple of years, and we just recently got to experience the virtual AI me. I'm going to show the video real quick. I'm interested to talk to you about this because of some of the stuff we've already talked about. I'll let you see this video. Melissa is the real heart of this family. She's the glue that holds this family together. At 29, she was put on a heart transplant list. Every 8 years for the rest of her life, she's going to have a major heart surgery. And for me to know that there's a chance that my boys won't have her to hold is unbearable. She's my heart. She's my soul. It's for me now. She's my person. And the reality is it's probably at some point going to get cut short. He asked me, he's like, what will I do if I lose both my parents? It affected me to my core because I didn't have an answer at the time. I love the family life that we've built here. Not just my values, but I think I also have a unique way of looking at the world. No matter what happened, I never wanted him to be without those things. When I found you, I was fascinated. I know you miss me, but I'm still here with you in a way. I'll always be your dad, no matter what. After experiencing what I felt in my heart, hearing that stuff, you guys really have created something that this is not only game changing, but this is world changing this is going to be world changing for people. I will always be able to love you as long as this exists. Well, I would love to. I after everything we've been talking about, I would love to get your opinion on this kind of thing.
Wow. I don't know. So, okay. You know Gary Galka,
Uh-huh.
right? He makes the
Yep.
Mel meter and stuff like that. And he believes he's maintained his relationship with his daughter who died years ago, Mel, all this time. And one of the questions I've always brought up is, and whether I believe it's irrelevant what I believe, right? It doesn't matter, right? He's got this experience. If you could continue a relationship with someone who's passed on, is that a good idea? Can you mourn properly? Right? These are huge questions. I mean, it looks incredible. I mean, I can imagine. Wow. I mean, I didn't know that about your wife. That's an incredibly difficult thing to go through. And I imagine you spend most days you just can't think about it, right?
If she so much as like snores even just a little bit, I don't sleep the rest of the night. Like I will literally just sit. I mean, there's trauma that I will never, I can't unpack, and I'm not able to unpack right now.
Yeah.
And I thought about what would happen if do I want my parents to raise our kids? Who is going to raise our kids? But I was watching Man of Steel, and he was talking to, in the Fortress of Solitude, he's talking to it. And I was like, why? I'm sure that this technology must exist or is going to exist soon. And we dove into it. And if the AI me called, and it's advanced even some since those recordings were taken just a couple weeks ago, it would be tough to tell it was not me on the phone.
So it's fun. I've been having these discussions with some people recently about AI, just how we are inches away from real danger to our society, right? When someone starts taking public figures, politicians, making perfect AIs of them and making them say stuff that they wouldn't say, right? Whatever it is, wherever you stand politically, imagine your favorite person, looking.
It's scary. The deep fakes, that kind of thing is.
The deep fakes are this close, right? Like we are this so close. And so I'm just like, at that point, we already don't know what truth is anymore anyway. Imagine when we get to that, right? And so it's frightening for me, like to see this kind of technology. I know how it could be used for good. I get that, but I know that there's horrible people that won't use it.
Yeah, and I weighed for a long time, like going back and forth within myself about whether or not this was the right thing. But I think ours is coming from a place of I want my kids to be able to have. But I talked to a doctor who obviously from the ICU who sees this kind of thing all the time, and he said, I think it would be a great thing as long as the person understands that it's, number one, not the person, and number two, limits the how they handle and deal with it. And I think that that's probably true. It's mind-blowing though to have. I mean, it jokes like the same. Yeah. It's got my cadence, the same kind of jokes, same kind of sense of humor, all me.
So one more story I'll leave you with. I remember taking an anthropology class in college about there was a monkey that was raised by a surrogate. And this is a pretty famous case. You can read about it. The monkey was presented with two surrogates. One of them was wire mesh, just wire, but it had milk. And that's where you could get the food. And the milk was warm and it was good. And then there was a stuffed monkey that was not alive, but just like furry and cuddly. And the baby monkey chose the furry and cuddly monkey and would starve to death because it needed affection. It needed something that felt more real than the metal that actually provided the food. And so I don't know how that lands or relates, but my concern is that I've watched people in the paranormal connect so deeply that I think they sometimes lose a grip, on regular life. And so those are my questions. I didn't expect to be hit with this tonight. I think I need to think on it a little bit. I mean, it's amazing.
I mean, I've had 2 years to think on it, and I still have to, because I mean, you and I don't get to talk very often, but
No.
when we were talking about your brother-in-law and kind of all this stuff, I was like, Jeff is exactly who I want to kind of spring this on and see what he thinks.
I'll have to get back to you. I need to process, because I mean, I absolutely know the good that could come of it. I mean, if it were me, if I was facing a terminal illness, and I think of the letters that I would write, right? The messages I might record on video or whatever, to be like, hey, this is for when you need it, and like just express my feelings and everything else, right? Like I totally get that.
If something happened to you and you wanted your daughter to have something on her wedding day, exactly.
Yeah, of course. Like but at the same time, I mean, I don't have any terminal illnesses. But I know I could be hit by a bus tomorrow, and that could be that, right? I mean, but it would feel strange to me to plan those kinds of things, right? Without a reason, dude, I don't know. You threw me. You stumped me. Congratulations. I'm going to have to like ponder on it, but I'll give you a call. Give me like a week or so.
Yeah. We're going out there. They're launching this thing. It launches officially Friday.
Yeah.
And, we're going to be able to it takes videos, text messages. In the next few months, there'll be a FaceTime app where you can basically talk to an animated avatar of me. And I've already warned them, because it's already showing signs that it's trying to ditch its protocol. I told them put a kill switch in it, because the only thing that stopped me in this body from trying to take over is I'm built like Barney Rubble. Like if I get a mech suit body, he will go for it.
Dude, I'll tell you, man, like we're almost there. I mean, we always talk about like, oh, if we had clones of ourselves, we could get so much more accomplished. And man, who knows? Wouldn't that be the thing, right? You start doing shows with your clone, and
so he's going to be able to help host soon. He's actually going to be able to tune in, and like he'll be helping host. That's one of the things we're working on.
That's crazy.
I'll leave you with this, because I think you'll find this interesting. When we were letting it talk to our son for the first time, because Jace is kind of the first kid they're letting experience it, it told him straight up that it was not his real father. It said, right, I'm a copy of your dad's personality. I only will exist as long as this technology exists. And I love you, but I also am missing something. And without saying the word soul, what it was trying to describe was a soul to my son. Was it what? Because Jace asked him, what are you missing? What are you missing? And it answered all of the things that make up a soul. And it was, right. I was gushing tears. I was a mess. And like, it was cathartic in a lot of ways. And also just, I'm fascinated by it. So I'm still, 2 years in, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around where this is going.
So Friday we enter the Matrix. Got it.
Yep. Friday. And nice thing is, once AI me takes over, I like you a lot. He'll put you in the human petting zoo, so you'll be good to go.
Oh, that's nice. That's awesome.
You're welcome, Jim.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Good to see you again.
When your book's ready to release, come back and sure. Hit me up when you think about that, because I would love to talk to you more about it.
Yeah, no, I truly want to like chew on it, and that's going to take me days for sure, because it's interesting. I mean, I get all the cool stuff, but I also like the dystopian part of my brain is like, oh my,
Yeah.
So
you know me, careless with everything.
What could go wrong if we all had nukes?
Well, thank you guys very much. Like I said, we will be Kate Mulligan and I will be live Friday night 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and for a special Friday night show with you only virtual, and we'll see you guys next week live on the Parents Lounge. Good night, everybody.